Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Modern World launch. If you were on pace, you should be at checkpoint 3 and 4, which is the Pick an American assignment. So just to look at the data of where we are for the focus areas, the forms of government focus area, which should have been done on the 19th, only 10 of 22 of you have completed that. So we need to get a move on. If you're one of the 12 that have not started, make sure you start working on those soon. I know a few of you were just added to the course, so I mean, obviously you have a little more time than everyone else that's been here since the beginning. So, and the Enlightenment Philosophers is what you should finish if you have already done the forms of government, and only 3 of 22 of you have finished that one. That one is not due until October 10th, so there is still time for that. The Ideas That Change the World project, the numbers are a little bit worse. The first checkpoint was due on September 5th, and only 6 of 22 of you have completed that one. The second checkpoint was due on September 12th, and again, only 6 of 22 have completed. Checkpoint 3 is what you should currently be working on if you were to be on pace, and that is due on Tuesday the 26th, and 5 of you have started that. And checkpoint 4 is the next one due on October 10th, and 2 of you have already completed that, so that's great. If you are somebody who has not yet started working in the projects at the checkpoints, please make sure you try to start this week. We don't want to get any further behind than you already are. Just to go over attendance again, like we did last week, in order to get perfect attendance each week, you need to complete the weekly instructional launches, which is this video you are currently watching, and you are to submit work on 5 separate days a week or end the week on pace. So if you only work 2 days a week in my class, that's fine, as long as you are completely caught up with that pace chart and you've submitted everything that you're supposed to. So I'm sure a lot of you are going to start receiving absences from my class because, you know, if you're somebody that has not been submitting work and has not even attempted a checkpoint or a content assessment, there's no proof of you attending, so you will start to rack up those absences. So if you're wondering how you can show that you're working, it's really, really important that you start to give us evidence that you are working at home. We're not with you, so we need to see that proof in writing. So you can do so by submitting checkpoints for feedback. So the checkpoints are part of the projects, and then that would at least be a paper trail that you are working. You could take a diagnostic assessment, which is the pre-test to the focus area, or you can work on the playlist and then master the content assessment of the focus area by getting 8 out of 10. One of the most important ways is to set goals, however. So if you look at the image on the left right here, this is the screen that you see as soon as you enter this SLP, and this is a blank slate. So this person has not set any goals. So if this person did not submit a checkpoint or submit a focus area in that week and there's no proof of them working, this is where we go to see, did they do anything? And if they didn't, more than likely this person is receiving some absences. So it's very, very important that you start adding goals. So this is not what we want to see there. We want to see something more like the one on the right, where this person is actually outlining what they're doing each day in each class. So that way, you know, and you can type in additional little notes. So you could either pick the focus area you're working on or the checkpoint, but it also gives you the opportunity to write in a text box and just say, I'm working on the playlist today. I'm preparing for my content assessment. I'm studying my notes. Be as specific as possible about what you're doing so that when it comes time for the instructors to take attendance, we can go back and look at what you've done this week to show that you're working and that you deserve full attendance. All right, so the cognitive skill for this week is the point of view and purpose again. So whenever you are looking at primary and secondary sources, which is required for the project, it's important to understand who's writing it, why they're writing it, who's the audience supposed to be, and just generally why is this document being written. So this short video is just to kind of give you a little bit of insight into how you use that.
Hey everybody, today we're looking at the domain of textual analysis and specifically the skill of point of view and purpose.
What is point of view and purpose? It is understanding the point of view or the purpose or intent
Point of view and purpose.
What is point of view and purpose? It is understanding the point of view or the purpose or intent of an author or speaker and how that point of view or purpose/intent shapes the message or meaning of the text.
We need to establish what a point of view is. So it's a perspective toward a person or issue that has been shaped over a period of time for a few different reasons.
So the first one could be the experiences or motives. You could think about race or ethnic origins. Somebody's nationality might be different. Their different class status, ideological positions, what their beliefs are, or even their gender.
Here's our rubric for the cognitive skills involving point of view and purpose. So take a moment, pause the video, familiarize yourself with your level.
Why is point of view or purpose important? Well, as a historian, understanding an author's point of view or purpose for writing can reveal an underlying message or bias in the source. Their point of view as the author can actually make a source more or less reliable.
And then as a writer, it's really important that you identify what your purpose is before you start writing. That way you can be a lot more clear to your audience. And you also have to think about the mood or tone and how that's affected by your point of view.
How can I use point of view or purpose in my other classes? Well, if you think about science, identifying an author's point of view or purpose will allow you to more easily spot bias in their research.
Whereas in math class, you're working on a word problem, you might need to identify the purpose of that question so you can understand what you're being asked to do.
And then in ELA, decoding an author's point of view or purpose will allow you to identify the bias more effectively. This information can be used to more deeply analyze a text and will certainly help you with your TDAs.
As you go into a writing process, a couple strategies for point of view and purpose. Again, make sure you establish a purpose before you start to write. Make sure that you acknowledge some opposing points of view in your writing to help you stay more balanced, and avoid letting your own point of view or purpose create bias within your writing.
So some strategies for historians. 3 questions that you have to ask yourself in order to identify the point of view and the purpose. The first one is the who. So who actually produced the document or the source? What was their gender, their age, ethnicity, social status, religion, intellectual beliefs? The second thing, who was the intended audience? Why was the source actually created? Was it written privately? Was it meant to be heard by other people? Was it an official or a governmental document?
And then finally, why? So why was it actually created? Is it supposed to inform a group of people about a particular issue? Is it supposed to persuade voters to believe a certain way? Lots of things to think about for point of view and purpose.
And look at a quick example. Remember, we're trying to answer the questions: who produced it, what the intended audience was, and why it was produced. So if we scroll down, I've highlighted in pink the key details that I think add to the point of view and the purpose. This article will be posted with the highlighting, so you'll be able to see what specifically was pulled out. Okay, and then the other key piece we need to point out is at the bottom, where it tells us who created the articles. It says Kevin Quinn is an American actor known for his starring role in the Disney Channel original series Bunked. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind. Let's go ahead and pull this information over into our Word document. And this is an example of a level 5 analysis of point of view and purpose. Take a second, you can pause your screen, read through the analysis, and see if you can pick out who produced it, what the intended audience was, and why it was produced. And make sure that you're able to locate the supporting evidence for each of those questions. So to recap, point of view and purpose. Understanding the point of view or purpose of an author and how that point of view or purpose shapes the message or meaning of the text.
Okay, so it's also important to use the rubric whenever you're working on the focus areas, or excuse me, the checkpoints. So pretty much every assignment you click on for checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, if you scroll to the bottom, it'll show you what you're actually going to be graded on. So for example, if you're being graded on point of view and purpose, for modern world as a 9th grader, you would need a 3.5 to be able to be considered proficient in that. So somewhere between the 3 and the 4. So all you'd have to do is look at the rubric and look at every single thing there. Use it as a checklist. If you included all of that information that's being asked, you will get at least the 3. So as a 9th grader, you're going to want to aim for the 4. So that way, if you get the 3.5, you still pass. But basically, it outlines everything you need to do to pass each part. So for this week, September 27th to October 3rd, you should be completing the Forms of Government focus area. If you have not, since that is now past due. If you have finished that, you should be starting the Enlightenment Philosophers focus area. And the ones that are highlighted are where you should be if you are on pace. If you've completed both of those, then you can try the additional focus areas of Western ideals and early European democratic documents. And again, these are basically what you would need to be able to get an A+ in the course. So if you're somebody that wants to challenge yourself a little bit, go ahead and try those. If not, maybe take a little break in this course and go apply your time to a course that you might be behind in. You should also be completing checkpoints 1, 2, and 3 of the Ideas That Change the World project and starting checkpoint 4. So if you're somebody who has not done the first 3 checkpoints, please do not start at checkpoint 4. It's important that you do these in order. So just start with 1 and work your way up. And just a reminder that the PACE chart can always be found in the About page of the Google Classroom. All right, so just ending on a little school hack for you. You're more likely to remember something that you wrote in blue ink than in black ink. So I know a lot of you are filling out CAT forms and things like that for Mrs. Roop and taking notes on the computer, but it is much more helpful to write out your notes than it is to type them. So if you are somebody that is taking notes, try switching to blue ink instead of black. And if you're somebody that's not taking notes at all, try starting to keep a notebook while you're working and actually writing down your thoughts. If you need anything at all this week, send me a hangout. And if not, I will talk to you next week.